a deal in place to acquire Verlander from the Mets. The Astros sending their top two outfield prospects to New York. Verlander and the Astros won 2 World Series championships during his 5.5-year tenure in Houston. Phillies, in a logjam of NL wildcard contenders, acquired righty Michael Lorenzen from the Tigers. A couple of days after sweeping the Rangers and pivoting from sellers to buyers, Padres addressed 2 of their most glaring needs today. ESPN MLB insider Buster Olney.
This is the one time a year when small sample size can make a huge difference in baseball. And so the Padres flip from being potential sellers to being buyers. They get Rich Hill, oldest pitcher in baseball, and Ji-Man Choi, who's going to help them out at first base and at DH to try to bolster the bottom half of their lineup with their offense.
Buster on ESPN Radio Afternoons. The Braves acquired reliever Brad Hand from the Rockies, added an experienced lefty to their bullpen. Broncos confirmed receiver Tim Patrick has a torn Achilles. He will miss the entire season.
Long summer days call for extra hands. Hire fast with Indeed. Their hiring solution helps attract, interview, and hire candidates. Sponsor a job and instantly receive a short list of quality candidates whose resumes match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser,
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tumpley. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. We got a ton to do. Saints camp report in 15 minutes. LSU gets a commitment from a legacy tight end. More chaos in the Pac-12. But let us begin how and where we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, y'all, let's get going here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. I am really, really excited. I am really excited because finally we got the LSU camp schedule. Normally we get the LSU training camp schedule just shortly after media days. I don't know. It took so long for them to send it today this year, but they did. So I can tell you definitively now that we have the schedule, a couple things that are really exciting. LSU will begin practice on Thursday. And my biggest question, and this may not matter much to you, but let me explain why it should. My biggest question was whether or not LSU was going to allow sort of the unprecedented access to the media again this fall camp that they did a year ago. And if you recall, last year, they allowed us to watch more practice than we had seen. Like talking to some of the guys who've been on this beat for even far longer than I have, which I think this is my 17th season, something like that. But guys that were covering this team back in Holman and DiNardo say Jerry DiNardo had a period where he allowed a lot of access, and then something happened, and when things were going bad, 98, 99, he clammed up and then kicked everybody out. And Saban never allowed access, and Les never allowed access, and Ed would allow a little bit, but it was unprecedented because Brian Kelly would let us go watch the whole practice. Now that is mandated in the NFL, but in college football, each school can handle it how they want. The reason, again, why you should care is and not because you should care whether or not we get to watch more than 15 minutes of practice, but with the respect to how we cover the team you care about, the amount of information and the quality of information that we can give you is better. When we watch 10 or 15 minutes of calisthenics and guys just hitting the sled and running backs, just running, ladder drills. We're not telling you much other than who's there, who wasn't there, who looks in shape, who looks out of shape. And we could try to decipher something about the order in which they're doing drills. That was about it. Last year, they let us come watch the whole practice a bunch. And I can tell you on Thursday, we can watch the entire practice, which is really cool. It just allows us a much better opportunity to report on practice to all of you. The other thing that I really like is Brian Kelly is going to have a protocol for reporting injuries. He will address injuries each week during the season at his Monday media opportunities, Thursday, and then Saturdays. Injured players will be probable, questionable, doubtful, or out. And he will denote the location of the injury, like upper body, lower body, whatever it may be. So, one of the things that I've often said, everybody can handle it to whatever degree they want, I suppose. But what really are you hiding? What real benefit or advantage do you gain? In some instances, I kind of get it. But again, the NFL has to put out injury reports every single week. So this is a situation where LSU is kind of following suit there. So I like it. Just a couple of tidbits there to kind of keep you, to give you an idea of how things are going to work here over the next 3 weeks as LSU gets into and through a fall camp before they get into game week in advance of the opener against Florida State. All right, it is After Further Review. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Tell you drink easy in Louisiana. For the next couple of weeks, you can still find the camouflage aluminum bottles. So make sure you check them out wherever you buy your beer. Pick up camouflage aluminum bottles of Bud Light. Know that every purchase, a portion of those sales are going to Folds of Honor, to fund scholarships for the children of our fallen war heroes. That's something that Bud Light, Budweiser have done for 13 years since the inception of the program. And in those 13 years, they've raised $21 million. So salute to our friends at Mockler Beverage, who are great partners as well. And drink easy in Louisiana with Bud Light. It is watch list season. And if you're not familiar, every day the national awards put out their preseason watch lists. This is really nothing more than an opportunity for us to have conversation about college football during fall camp before things actually start to get going. And the thing that I'm often fond of saying is that if the player from your team isn't on the watch list, that's a really big concern. Because, for example, like the Maxwell has 85 players on its watch list. That's more than half of college football teams represented. If you're not on the watch list, you stink. Outland today, which is given to the best interior lineman, you had a couple of, actually 3 LSU players. Will Campbell, Emory Jones, LSU's bookend tackles, were on the Outland watch list, along with Mekhi Wingo. Of course, Mekhi Wingo a year ago was a third-team All-American, exploded on the scene, and he is certainly warranted there. The notable omission, however, is no Mason Smith. Now, I would submit that I understand when you only play one defensive series, it's hard to justify having him on a watch list going into this year. But should he stay healthy, I think it's more than likely we'll see Mason Smith the year-end watch list. The Bronco Nagurski, which goes to the best defensive player in college football. Mekhi Wingo also on that list, and no surprise seeing Harold Perkins on that list. Had a great conversation last week with Derry Beckwith about Harold Perkins, former LSU All-SEC linebacker Derry Beckwith, about Perkins transitioning to the inside from that jack linebacker. And I'll tell you, one of the things that as I've gone and sort of caught up on last year and started to sort of prime and prep for this season, I've noticed a lot of times where Harold Perkins was playing inside a year ago. As a matter of fact, one of the best plays he made last year in that Arkansas game, he was playing inside linebacker. There was a zone read action. It was when Malik Hornsby was playing quarterback, and Perkins jetted through the left side of the defense to track down Malik Hornsby and make that play. So I'm feeling better about Perkins making that transition. I think he's going to be able to impact the game in so many more ways. And then the Maxwell Award, which is given annually to the best player in college football. There were 2 LSU Tigers on the list. Malik Neighbors coming off a 1,000-yard season a year ago. And LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels. It was really interesting because Jaden Daniels at Media Days gave an interview with Marty and McGee. And a lot of times when you have those 4 days, a lot of those shows, the national ones, when you interview every coach and every player, you stockpile a lot of content that you can't pump out just in those 4 days, so they end up releasing it as days and weeks go by. So even though Media Days was 2 weeks ago, the guys hadn't released the Jaden Daniels interview. They did today. And one of the things Jaden Daniels talked about that was the first time I've heard him say it this directly is why he chose to come back to LSU for another season.
I wanted to cement my legacy. I wanted to win the championship. You know, it's this main goal, win the championship, but I also wanted to help out with my legacy as far as, you know, Garrett Nussmeier and Ricky Collins. I want to help those guys reach their ability faster than I did and be the best that they can. And I want them to be better than me at LSU.
How can you not love that? How can you not love that? Wants to come back to cement his legacy, to win a championship, and to make the younger guys better than he was. Yo, Jaden Daniels had an incredible start to his college career. As a freshman, a true freshman starter at Arizona State, then we know what happened. Sophomore was the COVID year. They only played a handful of games. Junior year, everything was a total disaster at Arizona State. There was scandal. Herm gets fired. The 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and everyone wondered if he was really that good. And the point that I've made so often is that thing was just a disaster there. It's not surprising that he came here. There was fertile ground, a new opportunity, and he flourished a year ago. Now, what can he do in year two? And this was the other thing he said that was so interesting to me. They kind of asked him for a comp, like who he compares his game to. Listen to what he said.
I feel like the person that I run the most like is probably Lamar Jackson. You know, he's more shifty than me, but you know, how effective he is with his legs, and obviously he's a talented passer too. So I'll say if there's a combo, it'll probably be the closest one, Lamar.
Lamar Jackson, of course, was a first-round draft pick and was a Heisman Trophy winner. LSU got to see Lamar in his Heisman season, you'll recall. They played him in the Citrus Bowl that year, and Arden Key had quite a day. But in that year, Lamar Jackson threw for 3,500 yards, 3,543 to be exact. He also threw for 30 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. In his Heisman year, Lamar ran for 1,571 yards and 21 rushing touchdowns. Now, I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to approach those numbers in combination because, unlike a year ago, LSU isn't going to need Jaden Daniels to rush for 1,000 yards. Jaden ran for 900 yards last year, just under it, out of necessity. When you look at LSU's running back room this year, when you have 8 running backs that you like, and you return 6 of your top 7 offensive linemen, and you add a transfer in Mason Lunsford, and you add Logan Diggs at running back as well, and you've added Lance Hurd on that offensive line, I don't think you're going to need Jaden Daniels to run for 900 yards this year. But because you're going to have a more stable offensive line, because you're going to have a more productive running game, that's going to open up Jaden Daniels in the passing game. And his passing stats will exceed Lamar Jackson's from that 2016 Heisman season. Jaden Daniels is going to throw for 4,000 yards this year. You may ask me one bold prediction for Jaden Daniels this year. Jaden Daniels will finish this season with the second highest passing total in LSU single-season football history behind only Joe Burrow in 2019. I'll say that today. I'll stand behind it all season long. You are primed for a monster season behind a fifth-year starting quarterback. The question with all the accolades and what he might be able to win really comes down to how many games does LSU win. And if LSU wins as many as I think they will, he'll have a seat in New York for the Heisman presentation. I don't know if he'll win it, but he'll have a seat there. And it'll be not only on the watch list at the beginning of the season, but really on the finalist list at the end of the season. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out our first break of the show. Saints are back on the practice field again today, second day of full pads. Maddy Hudak was there, our Saints camp correspondent. She'll be with us next. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Give them a buzz, y'all, 752-0001, 752-0001. Remember the Moscona special. Mention the Moscona special, and they'll always save you $25 off any system repair just for mentioning the show. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Love sharing great 5-star Google reviews. This one comes in from TM, who said, excellent diagnostic from the technician, Michael. He did a thorough job and gave me honest information. I will highly recommend to others. Another 5-star Google review for River City's 1 Hour Air. You get expertly trained technicians. You get technicians that work nights, holidays, weekends, and never charge you extra to come out nights, holidays, or weekends. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Give them a buzz today at 752-0001. If your Home Central AC isn't keeping up, why would you call anyone other than the best? It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks at River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've
After Further Review is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I thought another good practice. I think our guys are competing. That's kind of the biggest thing I take away from it. You know, we went outside for the early part of practice, get some of that heat. Thought our guys pushed through that. That was difficult. And I thought it really picked up as we came back inside, got some good teamwork in.
Dennis Allen, after day 6 of Saints training camp, our correspondent Maddy Hudak was there. She's here now. Always appreciate it, Maddy. How are you?
I'm good. It's an easy day out there with only half of it being outdoors.
So I would imagine. So do you notice the energy level uptick as well when the guys get out of the heat?
Oh, without question. I mean, I can tell the media's energy levels kind of perk up. The only downside of being inside is we're kind of siphoned off to one corner. But I've noticed, too, the turf in there just seems faster. When Tulane would practice there, the guys always seem to be running just a little faster than I would remember, but it does get relatively competitive quickly in the AC.
When you start to look at some of the camp battles, now that we're just about a week into Saints training camp, this is day 6, they're into full pads for the second day. What are the camp battles that seem to be elevating, that are sort of rising to the forefront?
Well, you have that cornerback battle going on with Alontae Taylor and Paulson Adebo, and I noticed again today that they're still really not playing their usual nickel defense, and so we really haven't seen them try out anyone in that slot role. So it's hard for me to say kind of if that battle is still continuing or if they're planning to move one of them to the slot. But as much as we talked about kind of the tight end group yesterday and whether or not, Jimmy Graham still kind of has the same spot that Juwan Johnson would have, it was interesting because a lot of the tight ends suddenly kind of popped up today and certainly made a conversation of what that roster group is going to look like. I've also been really curious, actually, who's kind of the running back room projection because we're still kind of waiting. I know Alvin Kamara is planning to talk to Roger Goodell or hopes to in some notion, but to think that he won't be suspended at all is just kind of a little overly optimistic for me. So that's something I'm really looking at too, as well as kind of that wide receiver room and who kind of fills that out.
With you mentioned the tight ends. It seemed like there was a little bit today as I was kind of scrolling Twitter. What happened today that stood out for the tight ends?
Yeah, everyone's kind of calling it tight end Tuesday. It's just they were kind of the first option today. We saw a little bit of an opportunity for the quarterbacks to audible today, both Derek Carr and Jake Haener, and it was interesting that the check down option is kind of to that tight end group. And several of them at that. And there were sets where they'd have Taysom Hill out there with another pass-catching tight end. And it stuck out to a lot of us that it actually kind of gives the Saints several credible receiving options now because you can't ignore Taysom Hill off the line of scrimmage. You know that he can catch, but it gives guys like Lucas Bull an opportunity to get open and not really rely on just Michael Thomas being out there as a primary threat. But it was interesting with all of the attention we've seen them kind of go to the wide receivers the last couple of weeks. Again, interesting after a conversation yesterday that it was just basically the first option with tight end all day, but you saw quickly how that can start to kind of get those short gains, actually sustain drives and get some first downs, which is something the Saints really struggled with on offense last season.
It's Maddy Hudak is our guest, Saints Camp Report. I was thinking about this earlier, Maddy. I'd love your perspective. If they do keep four tight ends, right? If we spell it out, it's Johnson, Morrow, Graham, and then Taysom. I mean, if you earmark Taysom as a tight end or however you want to label him. And if they do keep the third quarterback in Jake Haener, where's the spot on the roster, Maddy, where they cut, where they're maybe a little thin if they have to carry or if they choose to carry a fourth tight end and a third quarterback?
It's really interesting to me because Jake Haener has kind of played his way into the conversation, at least to kind of see how he does during the preseason. But his command of the offense and just his ability to kind of make those decisions and be in control of the offense as is, it stands out to a lot of people. And so it's something that is worth mentioning. But I've been thinking about that third quarterback quite a bit just because they do have Taysom Hill. I'm actually kind of curious if he presents somewhat of a rule problem with that third quarterback. If you were to actually kind of go in as that third quarterback option. But I think what we might see them do is just get creative with the designation for some of these guys like Taysom Hill, because you don't really have to call him a tight end. I'm not really sure what he's going to be doing on the offense, but to me, that's kind of where you can get away with one of those guys. But you might see them carry more tight ends and perhaps wide receivers, and that's something that is a lot different than last year's offense if you think of Jameis Winston and the strength that he had on offense versus Derek Carr, who seems to really be comfortable with the tight end group. So if they're able to kind of get some chemistry and connection going there, I could see them kind of carrying less wide receivers, barring any abilities on special teams.
So not to miss the point, but like essentially you could look at Jimmy Graham maybe not necessarily as a tight end per se, but more as a pass catcher, and that would be that extra receiver spot.
Are you talking about Jimmy or Taysom?
Well, I guess Jimmy, but I guess it could be Taysom either, but we know Taysom's going to run the ball, right? I'm just thinking in terms of pass catchers instead of designated wide receivers.
Yeah, because you kind of forget about Foster Moreau, too, which, again, is a good problem to have, that there's almost too many tight ends to remember at this point. But, yeah, I think Jimmy Graham really offers that. We have seen him block a little bit as well, but all of the tight ends have really been used as receiver options the last couple of days, which interesting, but again, I think the preseason will really illuminate that once you see them actually lining up against another opposing team and seeing what they do against different defenses. The only thing I keep saying about seeing those three linebacker sets out there is there's not that many defenses I could think of that primarily trot out those three linebacker sets all the time anymore. So I'll be curious to see how that kind of third receiver fares against perhaps, more of a secondary heavy coverage.
So I don't want to belabor the point, but I'm really curious your thought because you're out there seeing this every day and you obviously follow this so closely. But my assumption is that Foster Moreau, Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill, they are locks. They are 100% making the team, yes?
Yeah,
okay.
One would say.
So Jimmy Graham, and so that's why I brought up Jimmy, Maddie, because there's one guy that I would look and go, all right, how do you make that work? It's Jimmy Graham. But if he plays well enough to make the team, you got to find a spot for him. So that's kind of why I alluded to Jimmy in the way that I did.
No, it makes sense. And again, I'll keep going back to his stature because, Juwan Johnson, he's still 6'4". I'd be curious to actually see what the wingspan is. I have half a mind to go back to his, combine scores at this point, but you can just tell he had another physical catch today that elicited some chirpiness, which is always good to see. But it's clear that he has just a little step above everyone else, quite literally by his stature alone. And I think that that's hard to ignore on the roster.
Let's see. I'm looking at, Juwan Johnson. I'm not seeing reach here, but it shows his arm was 34 1/4 inches. Hand 10 1/2, 6'4", 230. I don't see full.
I know Jimmy played basketball for a while.
Right.
So you have to think that the wingspan is there.
Right. No, he's definitely big enough there. All right, Maddy Hudak's with us on Twitter at MaddyHudak_94, giving us our Saints camp report. One more for you on the offensive side. Michael Thomas, I know, did meet with the media today after practice. Anything of note from Michael, either what he said or what you saw today?
Well, yeah, I have to keep running back home to deal with some doctor's appointments, but it just stuck out that it doesn't seem like he was hurt at all, and it seems like he's back to his form when you were kind of seeing him take almost as baby steps just in minicamp a few weeks ago. So it's hard to ignore. I think the motivator that a guy like Derek Carr brings, you can really see just kind of that inspiration, I think, on both of their parts and just the amount of time they've already talked about one another. And you could see them just going again, to one another off to the side after almost every play. And it just kind of seems like Michael Thomas is almost falling back in love with football. And when you're out for that many seasons in a row and really had a connection with someone like Drew Brees, I could see how you kind of get to that mental rut. But it's been a really, really strong showing from him every day. And he just looks confident out there. And like I said, really as healthy as you could expect.
Any update on Andrews, Pete?
He wasn't out there today, and
Okay.
that's pretty much all we offered. Everyone else, though, full attendance.
Are we on the Blake group hype train yet, or is Will Lutz outpacing him?
I mean, listen, it's been competitive enough every single day. I don't remember his exact numbers today, but he was making them from relatively deep out there. Like I've said, even if he doesn't necessarily turn this into a full kinky competition, I think you've seen Will Lutz kind of see the fact that his job is not, necessarily fully there for him at this point. And so if it gets Will Lutz to work a little harder, but it's just so impressive to watch Blake Krupe because it's just at his size to have the power behind his kicks that he does. Yes, we were inside today, but wind's not the hugest factor outside here either at this point in the season. So it's been competitive. Lou Headley, again, has a really strong hang time as well. So I'd love to see some special camp battles. And I think that's really what you see in the preseason, too.
She is Maddy Hudak. We got football on Thursday. How about that? We have preseason football on Thursday,
whoa.
the Hall of Fame game. And Kellen Mond is going to start for Cleveland in the Hall of Fame game.
Beautiful.
I shouldn't be as excited about that as I am, but I am, just to watch football on Thursday. All right, Maddy, you're the best. Thanks. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, be well. It's After Further Review, brought to you by Mold Zero, mold-0usa.com, mold-0usa.com. Man, there was so much bad weather all across South Louisiana yesterday. I know parts of Lafayette and Baton Rouge really got hammered. And unfortunately, we saw just a lot of people with damage to roofs, trees in their home, which also could mean water penetration. So if you did have water in your home and you're worried about remediation, if you're worried about mold, call Mold Zero. Jim and the gang do a great job over there. You can call Mold Zero. Just go to the website, mold-0usa.com, mold-zerousa.com. At the top of the page, you'll see the Baton Rouge and the New Orleans phone numbers, but they service all of South Louisiana. So don't think if you're over in Lafayette or if you're up in Alec, they'll come to you wherever you are. It's Mold Zero, mold-0usa.com. It's a patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. This is going to be so much easier than traditional remediation efforts. You can read the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers report. I've told you so many times, Jim Woodworth he's an Air Force veteran who was part of the post 9/11 recovery efforts in New York City. It was part of the recovery after the BP oil spill down here in the Gulf region. Of course, now has this great technology in Mold Zero. Mold-0USA.com. All right, y'all, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. LSU did pick up a legacy tight end commit today. Going to get to that in hour number 3, some full thoughts. It's David LaFleur's son. Of course, remember, was an All-American and first-round draft pick out of LSU in the 1997 draft. But David LaFleur's son, J.D., committed to LSU today. The 4th commit since the weekend for Brian Kelly, who is rolling. J.D. is a 2025 commit. But I'll give you some full thoughts on that coming up in hour number 3. So if you have to go, make sure you come on back. We'll talk plenty of LSU football in about 45 minutes. Marlon Favorite, Big Fave, is going to be with us. We're going to look at the trenches with Big Fave as LSU's just a couple days out from starting fall camp. All right, let me knock out a quick break. Steve Sarkisian stepping in it, and we'll go around the SEC. That's next here on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys. Gordon always has something up his sleeve. And he is a master marketer, as we've talked about. And you can barely drive anywhere without seeing a Gordon McKernan injury attorney billboard. And now Gordon is letting you design his next billboard. So you can go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. If you want to see the full details, you can do so. Go to getgordon.com. You can see how you can design Gordon's next billboard and win prizes up to $2,000. And, of course, the opportunity to see your design out there on a billboard. So you want all the specifications you can, go to getgordonbillboards.com. The deadline is the end of this month, August 31st. Again, so go to getgordonbillboards.com, getgordonbillboards.com. Get creative, get online, and get Gordon and get it done. Go to getgordonbillboards.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way.
Purchase your
After Further Review is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, glad to have you rolling aboard with us here. If you are watching, you'll notice all the green. You'll notice the John Deere tractor right there on the desk. We appreciate our friends over at Sunshine, our new Tuesday sponsor. And that's who, if you were here Friday, I got to go out to Donaldsonville. There are 17 Sunshine locations from Alec and basically draw a line at Alec south, the whole southern part of this state. If you buy a John Deere, you're buying it from Sunshine. So I got to go to Donaldsonville, and they let me ride one of their gigantic tractors. It was so cool. Like, hat tip to all the farmers. I mean, we all know, look, nobody's ever going to confuse me with a farmer, but I've lived in Louisiana my whole life, and I understand the importance of agriculture to our state and what that industry means for the state. So hat tip to all the farmers, and certainly to our friends over at Sunshine. I had an awesome day hanging out with them, and pumped to tell you more about John Deere. And you know what, Muse? How about this? How about this? Got me a little John Deere hat as well. What you think about that, huh? You ever heard a country song, Muse, that mentioned any tractor other than a deer? I don't believe so.
I don't think I ever have heard another song that's a country song that's mentioned any other tractor besides a John Deere.
You got anything over there? Huh? No? Maybe? Maybe? There it is. Gonna turn me into a green hat wearing, tractor driving, country music listening fool.
There's a couple different ones we could go through, Matt. Obviously, I mean,
I'm looking forward to hearing them all.
All of them? Do we just go John Deere country songs for rejoin from here on out now?
I think on Tuesdays it's what we got to do.
All right, yeah, we shouldn't run out of them. That's for sure.
You know, let me ask you a question. Have you literally ever heard any country music song ever about a tractor other than John Deere?
No.
You ever seen anybody wear a hat of any tractor company other than the green John Deere hat?
Nah.
I didn't think so. It's iconic. You know what they're going to do, Muse? They're turning me into Pauly Shore from Son-in-Law. That's what they're doing. Remember Crawl, the California kid who goes to the farm in Nebraska or Iowa, wherever it was, for spring break? And then he ends up becoming a tractor. Listening to John Denver. Thank God I'm a country boy and all the good stuff. But seriously, shout out to our friends over at Sunshine. Powered by Sunshine, your John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Title sponsor of our Tuesday shows. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Hey, Muse, did you hear what Steve Sarkisian said when he was meeting with the media earlier on Tuesday? Did you hear this? This, of course, is the final year in the Big 12 for the University of Texas. And the Longhorns, who, look, let's be very frank here. Ever since their national championship in 2009, they stink. Ever since Texas won the national championship in 2009, they have one double-digit win season. One. That came in 2018. They went 10-4. That was when Sam Ehlinger declared, "We're back." Tom Herman, the coach, of course. Here's the win totals since 2009. You ready for it? 5, 8, 9, 8, 6, 5, 5, 7, 10, 8, 7, 5, 8. That ain't great, y'all. That ain't great. Meanwhile, Steve Sarkisian, who somehow continues to fail upward. I mean, this guy was a coach at Washington, USC, and now Texas. And he got fired for, well, nefarious activities. Like, I hope he's better. But he was an alcoholic who was drinking on the job. Here's his win totals as a head coach. You ready? Here we go. 5, 7, 7, 7, 8, 9, 3. Got fired 3-2. 5, 8. Dude has one 9-win season in his entire coaching career. He is 59-47 as a head coach, and he has coached at Washington, Southern Cal, and Texas. So forgive me when I hear Steve Sarkisian say what you're about to hear him say. I'm just going to laugh a little bit.
Well, I think one thing, and I've said it before, I think this team's on a mission. They've taken this mindset of being on a mission. They've kind of adopted the John Wick mentality. I know that Quinn has touched on and Jordan has touched on, and that they've really focused. And I think that's probably the thing. It's like, man, they want to go do this. They want to be focused on the task at hand. I think that they've kind of assumed this mentality of embrace the hate. Like, we get it. We're the University of Texas. We get it. This is our last year in the Big 12. Well, we can sit there and be a punching bag, or we can go attack the people that we're going to play. And I think that they've assumed that responsibility to say, hey, we're going to go after everybody else too. And so I think that's the right mentality to have.
Thanks to the president and CEO of our company, Flynn Foster, who just let me know that he caught my error. Texas didn't win the national title in 2009. Alabama did. They played Alabama for the national title. Of course, they won it in 2005 when they beat Reggie Bush and USC. Thank you for the correction. So let me restate that. Ever since playing for the national title in 2009, where they lost to Alabama, the University of Texas have won this many games in succession. 5-8, 9-8, 6-5, 5-7, 10, 8-7, 5-8. One 10-win season since 2009, and Steve Sarkisian as a head coach has never won 10 games as a head coach. So forgive me, Steve Sarkisian, when you say that your Texas team is embracing the hate and you're on a mission in the last year in the Big 12 to go try to win it and make a playoff. I'm just going to laugh you dead in the face, because that program and this head coach have been a joke since 2009. I was going to crumple up that paper, but I need this one. Let's go around the SEC. Soon we'll talk about Texas and around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Five-star edge rusher Dylan Stewart has committed to South Carolina. What a pull for Shane Beamer, the number 15 overall player in the country for 2024. 6'6", 245. He chose South Carolina over Ohio State. He'd also taken visits to Georgia, Miami, Penn State, and Alabama. The first five-star recruit to pick the Gamecocks since Jordan Birch in 2020.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Cornerback Cedric Beavers announced his commitment to Ole Miss. He'll spend this year in JUCO and then head to Ole Miss in January. 5'10", 170, the number 3 JUCO corner in America. Also had offers from Louisville, Troy, Southern Miss, UNLV, and some other programs that you don't really care about. Meanwhile, on the hardwood, Ole Miss got a commitment from 7'1" center John Bull. Previously, he'd been committed to Florida. Also had offers from Texas, Illinois, Southern Cal, Michigan, Mizzou, Ohio State. Number 34 overall recruit. If he signs with Ole Miss, he will be the highest-rated Ole Miss signee in program history.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky men's basketball picked up a commit for the class of 2023. Croatian big man. You ready for this one, Muse?
We got
Zvonimir Ivisic. Zvonimir Ivisic.
I just don't think it's that memorable. Mainly because I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I'm going to have a hard time saying it.
Yeah, that's tough.
7'2", played for the Croatian national team. Averaged 11 and 5 and 3 blocks. Pretty good. Shot blocking big. We can stretch the floor.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Canisius transfer Max Grant is headed to Alabama. No, not football. You think Alabama football is taking a transfer from Canisius? No, get out of here. Baseball. That makes way more sense. 3 seasons with the Griffins, primarily as an infielder. Rob Vaughn, the new Bama coach, has already taken 5 transfers.
The Auburn Tigers.
How about this? Pretty cool. Auburn is re-imaging their field-level suites at Jordan-Hare Stadium. They're going to have 6 new and improved field-level suites for 2023. Suites will range capacity 16 to 24 guests. Auburn, of course, opens the season with UMass this year. They do get Georgia and Bama at home. Field-level suites for that. Those would be pretty good. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy, Trey Beal, and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products online at gcopnet.com. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. They do it all at Gulf Coast Office Products. Ask about interactive whiteboards. Trust me, no matter if you're a 2-person business or a 200-person business, it'll make you more efficient. Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, y'all. It's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, and wrap up hour number 1, the latest out of the Pac-12 and the Big 12 with their meetings going on today as the next domino and realignment could fall here in the next day or so. So we'll fill you in on the absolute latest when we come back. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Tuesdays at Pluckers are flat out awesome. Tuesdays at Pluckers, kids eat free. So it is a great opportunity to get the whole family together, put them in the station wagon, drive on over to Pluckers and eat affordably. Award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, and sports on TV. That is Pluckers. So kids eat free every Tuesday. Also Tuesday, our guy Hunt Palmer hosts Sports Trivia. So get on by Pluckers on Nicholson, 8:30 for Sports Trivia. So you get on by, maybe watch some MLB action, which is on, maybe some training camp action for the NFL. Eat some wings, drink some beer, have some dinner, 8:30. Pluckers or Hunt will fire out Sports Trivia over at Pluckers. And you can win Pluckers gift cards. Every team, remember, gets to spin the prize wheel. So even if you don't win a round, you can still spin the prize wheel to win Pluckers gift cards, Amazon gift cards, or other great prizes. That's at Pluckers. 2 locations, Pluckers, if you don't like our wings. We'll give you the bird.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like Hudco, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
The best kept secret.
After Further Review is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, rolling along, wrapping up hour number 1. We're glad you're aboard with us here. Today's a big day for 2 reasons in college football. Number 1, the Pac-12 powers that be were earlier today supposed to and did present a media rights deal, at least the initial framework of a media rights deal. And then also in about 40 minutes from now, 4:30 Central Time, as we're here live, the the Arizona Board of Regents are set to meet, and we all presume to discuss a potential move to the Big 12. Now, Ross Dellinger is reporting a vote is not expected today by the Arizona Board of Regents. Now, as for the TV deal, and I'll explain all of this again, I'm doing my best to just oversimplify this because I do understand not everybody gets into the weeds and follows TV deals and structure and contracts like that. I get it. And I'm not trying to make you understand or care about the Pac-12's TV deal, but the reason that it's relevant, of course, is because the Pac-12 is trying to maintain its league. Right? They've already lost USC and UCLA, and now they've lost Colorado. So the Pac-12 is down to 9 schools for next season. Well, they don't have a TV deal starting next year. So the question is, do they sign a new TV deal in hopes of luring new members, or do they go pursue new members and then sign a TV deal? The problem with that is your existing members are sitting there going, well, do we just stay? What do we do? So it's a weird juggling and balancing act. So anyway, Pete Thamel was on SportsCenter a bit ago and gave an update on this Pac-12 meeting with respect to the TV deal, which included Apple streaming kind of as the lead and not true linear television. Give a listen.
Well, Matt, I don't think there's going to be a linear finish to this. I do think it's going to drag out a little longer. So I don't think anyone's either exiting or banding together. But the good news for George Kliavkoff is after a year of a protracted deal and missteps, he brought to the table today a potential deal with Apple. Sources told ESPN that the deal is a primary streaming deal, which could give schools some pause, as a linear aspect was always going to be a critical piece of the deal going forward. But with the Apple...
Of course, the internet.
Deal, they would align themselves with a prominent streaming partner, and the money, although initially may be below where the Big 12 is expected to start in their deal in 2025, $31.7 million, there's potential through subscriptions via Apple TV to go past that Big 12 number. Again, we're still in the hypothetical stage. There's a lot of conversation. I think people have to digest things back on campus, so I don't expect anything imminent tonight. But at least finally, a deal has been presented, and there's some clarity of what it could look like going forward.
How appropriate that we're talking about a streaming TV deal and our streaming video buffers. Of course, that would have to happen that way. Now, all right, here's why this is sort of relevant. For those who don't know, linear television, as you heard him say linear several times, linear television is what we would just call traditional TV or cable television, right? So like a deal with the networks, ABC, ESPN, CBS, Fox, that would be linear television. There's linear, and then there's over-the-top, OTT, over-the-top television, which are your streaming services. So George Kliavkoff, the Pac-12 commissioner, presented to the Pac-12 today a streaming deal, Apple leading with Apple TV. Not, hey, like think about the NFL. They've got deals with CBS and Fox and ESPN/ABC, but they also stream Thursday Night Football. And now we know Sunday Ticket is streaming on YouTube TV. So they have a streaming component, but it's not leading with the streaming component. This Pac-12 deal leads with Apple TV. So primarily their content would be on Apple TV. What's interesting is they said there could be like a rev share. So if you get subscriptions, they could share in the subscription revenue. And in theory, that's great, but how many subscriptions are you going to push to Apple TV to watch Pac-12 football? Chances are you will lose greater market share in the country as a result of that than actually gain subscriptions. It's a terrible, terrible spot. And I can't imagine that. And especially when you think within context of college football, like the reason the bowls exist, the reason the structure is the way it is, the reason conferences exist is because it's guaranteed money. The payouts are almost like salary. So it's really hard to imagine any scenario where the Pac-12 goes with that leading, with something like a stream leading. That has not stopped infighting, however. Dan Lanning, the Oregon head coach, was asked about Colorado leaving the Pac-12 for the Big 12. Here's what the Oregon head coach had to say.
Not a big reaction. I mean, I'm trying to remember what they won to affect this conference. I don't remember. Do you remember them winning anything? I don't remember them winning anything.
I mean, he's not wrong. They didn't win anything. But, brother, you are so salty when that's your approach about that team leaving your conference. It's left the Pac-12 vulnerable and at their knees. You had 9 member institutions. All right. It's after further review. SportsCenter's coming up. We come back. Quarterback tier ranking voted on by front office personnel.
AFR.
Love telling you about the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com for the Williamson Eye Center. Hey, y'all, it's almost back to school time. Let me remind you about BOGO. Buy one, get one 50% off. That's glasses and contacts right now at the Williamson Eye Center. Yes, you hear me say every day about refractive surgery. And I always, always, always encourage you that if you want to see 20/20 without contacts or glasses, to inquire. Like, you can think about what you spend on contacts over the life of wearing contacts. You will pay less for LASIK than you will contacts wearing them for decades, like I was doing, like many of you are doing right now. But you should always get that eye exam, especially with your kiddos going back to school. Before they go back to school, make sure they get that eye exam. And you can do it at the Williamson Eye Center. And, of course, BOGO going on right now. Buy one, get one 50% off on glasses and contacts. You can get all the deets there on their social media at the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. A judge signed a protective order today in an effort to plug the leaks of evidence in the Madison Brooks case. It's an agreement that defense and prosecutors all approved in court today. Hear from the attorney who leaked the documents to the investigative unit, why he did it, and what he says the evidence shows. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. This just in from ESPN's Jeff Passan. On this baseball trade deadline day, Dodgers and Tigers had a deal in place for left-hander Eduardo Rodriguez, but he invoked his 10-team no-trade clause that included L.A., and the deal is now dead. Passan also reports the Astros have a deal in place to acquire ace Justin Verlander from the underachieving Mets. Houston sending its top 2 outfield prospects to New York. It is the perfect move for the defending World Series champs, says ESPN's Eduardo Perez.
The Astros, I think, killed it on this one. And one of the biggest reasons they did is because he's had success there in Houston already. He knows exactly what to expect from that city, from that team, from his teammates. He won the Cy Young Award as a Houston Astro.
Yeah.
And this guy and Jim Crane, they get it. They get what winning is all about in Houston.
They get each other, that's for sure.
They get each other, and I think that's one of the most important things. They're reunited.
Houston's just a half game back of AL West leading Texas holds the second AL wildcard spot. Blue Jays acquired infielder Paul DeJong from the Cardinals. Move made with Bo Bichette day to day due to right knee soreness.
If you need last-minute hires in no time, you need Indeed. Their integrated hiring solution lets you schedule and conduct video interviews all in one place. Finding your next great hire has never been more streamlined. Get hiring at Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
All O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Yusuf. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Big fave in about 15 minutes. LSU on the practice field on Thursday. We'll preview it from the trenches with Big Fave in about 15 minutes from right now. I hate random summertime lists. Do you have our drop muse? Can you get it quickly? I loathe summertime lists. I think they're lazy. I think we should all do better. I get it. When you're in print media, you have to put together a list during the summer, something to fill your space to get to conversation. We actually made a bit out of this over the years.
And now it's time for Feigned Indignance from Sports Talk Radio Guy over random summertime sports lists.
That's when we pretend to be really angry about the outcome of a list, right, Muse? But we're not really angry because, who really cares, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. This, however, was interesting to me. You want to know why?
Of course. Why? Yeah, why was it interesting to you, Matt?
I'm glad you asked. Thanks for asking, Muse. So Mike Sando writes for The Athletic. You familiar?
I've heard the name, actually, yes.
Okay. Well, Mike Sando, every summer, speaks to dozens of talent evaluators around the NFL to put together his tier ranking of the quarterbacks. So this isn't Mike Sando's opinions. This year, Mike Sando, as he said in this piece, as he wrote, spoke with 8 general managers, 10 head coaches, 15 coordinators, 10 executives, 4 quarterbacks coaches, and 3 additional people that are involved in coaching and analytics. Okay? So that's, let's see, 35, 43, 47. So he spoke to 50. He spoke to 50 people 8 GMs, 10 head coaches, 15 coordinators, 10 executives, 4 quarterbacks coaches, and 3 that do coaching and analytics.
It's a good sample size.
Pretty good sample
that's
size.
Good, yeah.
Reputable sample as well.
Very.
And had them rank their quarterbacks. All right, Muse. There are 5 quarterbacks in Tier 1. I would like for you to name the 5. I'm going to get to the point here because where Derek Carr is in this, I think, is very telling. There are 4 quarterbacks in Tier 1. Can you name? I'm sorry.
4 or 5?
There are 5 quarterbacks in Tier 1. Can you name the 5 quarterbacks in Tier 1? Go.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Josh Allen.
Yes.
Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Jalen Hurts.
No.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yes. And one more. Lightning bolt on his helmet.
Justin Herbert.
You got it. Okay. There's the 5. Now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in Tier 2. This is where it gets a little trickier.
Tier.
That's a big tier.
That's big.
That's a big tier. Large tiers.
Yeah.
But I think you'll be able to nail a couple of these. Okay, so let's see. The Tier 2 can handle pure passing situations, in doses, and or possesses other dimensions special enough to elevate him above Tier 3. Here are, but has a hole or 2 in the game. Tier 2, go.
Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
Russell Wilson?
No.
Whoa. Okay.
You're way higher on Russell Wilson than most.
Well, you should know the.
You and Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Keep my quarterback's name out your mouth.
There it is. Yeah. Kirk Cousins.
Yes. 12th. The very bottom.
Wow.
Of the very bottom of Tier 2.
That's fair.
Yes.
That's fair. Deshaun Watson.
Yes. 11th.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's been a while since he played, and last year wasn't great. It wasn't even a full season. There's 7. That's 3. Trevor Lawrence?
Yes, he's 8th.
Now, this is where it gets a little difficult.
Let me help you because the show ends at 6.
Yeah.
I'll go in order, starting with 6. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
Oh, of course.
Trevor Lawrence. Dak Prescott, 9th. Matt Stafford, 10th. As you mentioned, Deshaun Watson, 11. And Kirk Cousins, 12. There's Tier 2. All right. I wanted to point out that we've gone through 12 quarterbacks. You know who's been omitted so far?
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr has been omitted so far. Where do you think we find Derek Carr? There are 4 tiers, by the way.
My guess would be Tier 3.
He is in Tier 3. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 quarterbacks in Tier 3. We know Derek Carr is in Tier 3. Where do you think he falls in Tier 3?
He's in the middle of Tier 3. So let's see, you said 12 to, and they have how many in that one? 11?
Tier 3 starts with 13.
13 goes to 21.
It runs.
Or 23. Yeah. 11. Yeah. Math. It's easy. I'll say he's around 18, 19.
Derek Carr is 14th.
Okay.
He's the second player in Tier 3. However, here is what I found to be most interesting. It's between whom he is sandwiched. One spot ahead of the Saints starting quarterback, Derek Carr, is Kyler Murray. And one spot behind Derek Carr is Lions quarterback Jared Goff. I'll tell you something. I know there's a lot of people listening to me right now that want me to sit right here and sunshine pump Derek Carr. You want me to tell you that Derek Carr is going to be for the Saints what Matthew Stafford was for the Rams when he went there and they won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. But every single objective list or ranking or anything like this we have looked at since the day the Saints signed Derek Carr keep telling you the exact same thing. Derek Carr is a middle-of-the-road starting quarterback in the NFL. He is past his prime. His best days are behind him. That's not to say he can't win, and they can't win a lot of games, and they can't win big. But if the Saints are going to win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr, the rest of the roster around him is going to have to be dramatically better than it has been since Drew Brees has left. That's not me saying it. That's a combination of 50 people in the NFL, including 8 general managers, 10 head coaches, 15 coordinators, 10 executives, 4 quarterbacks coaches, and 3 involved in coaching and analytics. At his peak, they had Derek Carr at the bottom of Tier 1. But right now, Derek Carr is essentially at the top of Tier 3. He's Kyler Murray. He's Jared Goff. After Jared Goff, by the way, is Russell Wilson, Tua, Jimmy G, Danny Dimes, Geno Smith, Justin Fields, Ryan Tannehill, Mac Jones. That's the tier that Derek Carr is in. So ask yourself that question. Do you think the Saints could win big with Mac Jones or Ryan Tannehill or Geno Smith or Danny Dimes or Jimmy G or Tua? If your answer is no, then your answer has to be no about Kirk Cousins as well. Or excuse me, if your answer is no, then your answer has to be the same about Derek Carr as well. And probably Kirk Cousins, because he can't win in the playoffs.
Freudian slip there.
Unless if he plays against the Saints in the day.
Oh.
And Kyle Rudolph pushed off. He's a jerk. And I hope he has gonorrhea. I should have said diarrhea. Diarrhea. Explosive diarrhea, not gonorrhea. I was thinking of Ace Ventura. Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rotten hell. I don't really think that about Dan Marino.
Would you like a cookie, son?
Would you like a cookie? What do you know? They're little footballs. Okay, it's after further review. Let's talk to Big Fave. We'll do that next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. I'm going to brag on our guys a little bit. Yesterday, there was awful weather that came through the greater Baton Rouge area. And unfortunately, there were a lot of people who ended up with trees on their roofs with holes in their roofs. Our crews got active right away. I mean, just as soon as the weather cleared, we were on people's roofs, pulling trees off of people's roofs, helping people get their roofs tarped so they could have some peace of mind last night when they put their head on their pillow without a gaping hole in their roof. I tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's us. That's Hudco Roofing. It's a local company. It's been in Louisiana for more than 20 years. That's me. That's Richard Tilley. That's Ryan Terrio. That's Ron Richmond. That's Scott Barnes. That's people who live here in Louisiana, work here in Baton Rouge and all of across Louisiana. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, live Baton Rouge. Operator, what you put me on through? Gotta send my love down.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer.
After Further Review is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Tigers will be on the practice field on Thursday. Let's talk to Big Fave. Hello, somebody. What's up, Big Fave?
Hello, somebody. I'm going to move my body. I bet them Tigers ready to move that body, baby. Watch out there, man. What's happening, baby?
I love it, man. Former LSU defensive tackle Marlon Favorite's with us, part of the LSU Sports Radio Network as well. Hey, man, there's a lot of hype around this LSU team. They got the 5th best odds to win the national championship. They're picked second in the West behind Bama. Jaden Daniels is tied for the second best Heisman odds. Hey, man, do you feel like this much hype is warranted, or is it a national overreaction after a really successful year one under Brian Kelly?
Well, madam, somewhere in the middle, I think this team has the pieces to do it. And I think last year the expectations were so even-Steven that we didn't really have high expectations. I heard a lot of folks saying, hey, maybe Coach Kelly could pull off a 8-win season, a 9-win season. They were talking about that being successful. But to see how they were able to utilize the transfer portal, the way we saw Coach Mulkey do it, the way we seen Coach Johnson do it, and bringing the key pieces, the Jaden Daniels of the world, guys to really shape this team and put us in a position to be good. So that's why I'm somewhere in the middle. I think it is warranted. The team earned it. You beat Alabama at home. You then win the SEC West. You lose to Georgia, but it's a young team. It's missing some key pieces, and I do think that not only will we wreak havoc in the SEC, but I think we can make some noise national.
You know what, Big Fave, your case is a really interesting one, man, because you played in not that long ago, but it's a completely different era when in this terms. I'm not trying to age you, man, but I'm just putting some context here. I mean, you were one of the top defensive tackle prospects in the country, right? I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but I mean, you were ranked one of the top deep defensive tackles in the country, and you redshirted in 2004, and you stayed 5 years. Nobody does that anymore. Nobody. So it's weird now because of the COVID year. There is some more veteran players. How much different were you mentally, physically, from freshman 2004 Big Fave to fifth-year senior coming off a national championship in 2008 Big Fave?
Oh, at that time, I'm professional. I mean, at that point, you go through a year with Coach Saban. You're around guys like Jimbo Fisher, Coach Bo Pelini. The first stint, I heard what you said about the second stint. Hello, somebody. It was tough. But at the end of the day, the way that team was netted, right, we had guys. I mean, you're talking about me staying there 5 years and not transferring. How about Glenn Dorsey staring $21 million down the barrel and turning around and coming back to LSU? Like, we played with – it was a different circumstance. Now, we do have to take into account these youngsters have NIL. It's no real rules. So, you know, let's be honest, that was a very quick transfer by Jack Besh. Right after the season we saw with Mac Johnson the year before. It's a different playing field. And I think the patience, man, I think that's something a guy like you that's been around sports a lot, then went to LSU, how guys were patient. We watched the patient Marcus Randall. You know, we even watched Ryan Perrilloux reps with Matt Flynn. It was like we cared about developing. We cared about coaching. It's just, hey, if I don't see any playing time this year, I'm going to transfer somewhere else. And that, I think that does burn them when they turn professional.
So, but to stay on that point, though, a guy like Jaden Daniels in his 5th year as a starter, a guy like Omar Spates, he's going to be a 5th-year player, a 4th-year starter. Ovi Agofu going into his 6th year, started at Notre Dame, now Texas, now LSU. How much different is it for a guy who's 22, 23 years old, who's played in 50 college games, as opposed to being the blue-chip young guy as an 18, 19, or 20-year-old?
Man, you make a good point. And I spoke with Ovi when he first got down here. Those names you dropped, 21, 22. Hey, let's go to one of the greatest to put on a uniform, Joe Burrow. These guys were finished with school. They went through, like Joe Burrow, legit. Jaden Daniels, too, legit. Competed. Even played. In Jaden's case, he played, but he wanted better. You put it in 3 or 4 years, it's a different conversation because now you're talking need, opportunity. This is a mini NFL, to say the least, but, I mean, Matt, you make a good point. Like, when it's a guy like that, when you're trying to better your situation, when, you know, you may be in a rotational battle going into your 4th year and you see an opportunity where if you go here, you can make a better professional decision, that's different. But what I'm talking about, these freshmen signing 1 year and then the next year they're in a portal and you're not really that piece, the competitiveness of NCAA football, I think is being touched a bit because of guys ready to jump to the portal.
Marlon Favorite's with us on Twitter at BigFave504. LSU opens up fall camp in 2 days. What's the first day of fall camp like, man?
Hot. I mean, I remember we used to shave our heads bald. We used to, man, I gotta find that picture for you. We used to do challenges like we all shave our heads bald. It's hot. It's exhausting. You're getting back into the rhythm. It's exciting at the same time. I do miss it. You know, you miss going back. Coach Moffitt yelling at you, Big Steve, you better make that weight. I'll make you. Good memories, man. I miss it, and I look forward to these guys having a healthy, strong, and good season. But I miss training camp, bro. Good old days.
Man, what is it like right now for the team after going through the summer, right, of all the workouts? How are they feeling? What's the team feeling like right now that June's over, man? July's over. The workouts are done. It's time to go play football.
These guys are ready for action. It's so many mixed feelings. Matt, you have guys going out there competing for playing time. I mean, you're anticipating going look at the projected roster to see what position groups you're starting and what you're not. You're just getting mentally prepared. You're cutting off the outside world. What we used to really love when the regular student body start moving on campus. It's like, oh, yeah, football season really here now because it's just us on campus for the most part, and you're just locked in. Matt, you're waking up, you're going through the routine, it's breakfast, get tape for practice, go sit in meetings, long practice, especially with Coach Miles. Boy, Coach Miles to have us out there all day long.
I know that.
There's more meetings, and you're preparing, but once you feel yourself getting in better shape, too. Like week 2, week 3 of training camp, you feel yourself like you're ready, and you just anticipate that first big game. It feels like, especially the year Katrina hit, it felt like a long training camp, but once it's over, you're in like Flynn.
Yeah. You don't even know this, man. You say you didn't like Flint. Well, Coach Jake Flint was just on the screen right there as you said that. So you're right. You're right on it, man. A couple more for you. Big Fave is with us as LSU's getting ready for the start of fall camp on Thursday. What for you is a position battle or a position group that you're maybe most interested in seeing how it plays out in fall camp?
Well, of course, just being a former defensive tackle, I'm excited for a guy like Savion Jones solidifying himself as that DN. You have a Mason Smith back, right? You lose your Quaylen Roy, but you get arguably one of our most dominant interiors linemen back. But you talk about battle, I mean, I have to look at the running back position, right? You have Logan Diggs. I mean, technically John Emery. I mean, Goodwin. You have Josh Williams, who went to LSU Media Day. So you look at stuff like that, like who went to Media Day? Oh, that's the starter. You kind of think in your mind. So the running back position is what I'm looking at. Who's going to rise to the crop and be that guy?
I want to ask you about defensive tackle since you mentioned it. You mentioned, well, even just the whole defensive line. You mentioned you got to talk to Ovie Ogofu when he got to campus. But, man, they brought in 3 interior players as well with Jordan Jefferson, Jalen Lee, and Paris Shand, Braden Swinson. What's your thought on the depth and the talent, the blend of transfers and guys that they've grown here, homegrown players on that defensive front?
I think Coach Kelly's doing an excellent job and his staff of combing through best available interior D linemen in college football. I mean, you have guys come through and visit. Some you may sign and some you don't. Jordan Jefferson, transfer portal. You look at Jalen Lee. And hey, incidentally speaking, you made a good point earlier. Look at the age of these guys. I mean, some of these guys are juniors, they're seniors. So you have a mature group of interior guys that come in with the players. We have a healthy Mason Smith. You have big my boy name Tank,
Jacobian Guillory.
Jacobian Guillory, Big Tank. He's coming back, a guy who had experience last year. So what I'm looking for out of this, it's a 4-man front look with a hybrid, a jack on the edge. I'm looking for this team to get after the quarterback. The big move, Harold Perkins is now your middle linebacker.
Yeah.
We're used to him kind of moving around. How is that going to fit with this defense? So it's some things that I'm looking forward to.
Hey, man, last thing for you. I always appreciate your time, but, I want to take you back to 2007. And look, when you were here, there was always gigantic expectations. I mean, you got here in 2004 after LSU won the Natty, and those teams were just perennially preseason top 10. But in 2007, coming off the 2006 season, and with the veteran Dorsey and Hester and Stelz and Flynn and all those guys, that great senior class, yourself, of course, was it different going into the season where you had sort of national championship, national expectations like this LSU team does?
It was expected. To be honest, we thought we were supposed to win in 2006. Like, in our mind, like, we got this year. I remember me and Hester and Glenn, we had went to intercession, and we were working out, and that was actually my first year going, because usually I would take a little time off and train back in New Orleans. But I stayed because we knew it. We were 10 people jump pass away from going to the national championship.
Yeah.
And we kept the faith, but that team was really the chain gang. I mean, I can remember one game, Derek Beck was screaming, "Big Fave, move." I couldn't hear him. All I heard is a big hand come swap by my waist. Boom, and move me across the line. Get in your gap. We were just so in sync, and we pushed each other to the limit, and that's one thing I remember about that 2007 team. We were expected. We knew something nationally was about to happen. We knew we had one of the better teams coming back. I guess I mentioned earlier, Glenn, we stand, me and Tyson was in one condo, Quinn Johnson and Glenn was in the other condo, so we were neighbors, they would come borrow eggs and stuff like that. But I remember Glenn.
You didn't eat no eggs. Stop saying you're borrowing eggs. Man, you had somebody give me a Twinkie. That's what you were borrowing. You were borrowing eggs. Come on, man. Maybe some oatmeal. Eggs.
Refrigerator stay empty, man. Did us wrong. Did me and Tyson wrong, man. But, see him make that decision. And we now, like I said, we ain't balling now. We ain't in the NIL days now. We ain't got 100 racks put up from NIL bread. We legit working summer jobs, but that just tells you the passion. That was our mindset. Glenn making that decision spoke for the LSU team. Craig Stelz of the world, Early Doucette. Charles Alexander, Tremaine Johnson. I can name guys off that team with just workhards, man. I got to take my hands at practice and fingers because I got to go against Big Herman Johnson every week. And it's just, we worked and we made each other better, should I say. I love that. That's my brothers, man.
Yeah. See if this team has the championship pedigree. We'll start to find out on Thursday. Big Fav, you're the best, man. Appreciate a couple minutes. Thank you.
No problem, my brother. Take care. Hello, somebody.
All right, man. Be well. Y'all check out Hello Somebody as well, too, man. Wherever you get your music, check out Big Fav. He dropped a remake of the single. I think is he still on the phone? Oh, man. I think he had Choppa on it with him on the track. Somebody else, too. I'm blanking right now. Anyway, but yeah, go check out Hello Somebody. Big Fav dropped it. Yeah, I think it's Spotify, Apple Music, however you get your music. Check it out. All right. It's After Further Review. Let me knock out a break. Come back. Our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your John Deere dealer in Louisiana. We'll knock out a quick break. Come back. There are 17 teams that can make the college football playoff. Not win it. 17 teams that can make the college football playoff. And there's one that I think we're all sleeping on, and we'll talk about it next. AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. You know where to find them. Agent225.com. That's agent225.com. Y'all, the Baton Rouge real estate market is actually on fire right now, and it is a seller's market. Look, we know the Fed's been bumping interest rates, and the thought is, well, why sell my home? Or buyers are thinking I'll wait for them to come down. And what's happened is people are realizing probably going to have elevated interest rates for a while. So buyers are saying, I got to buy. If maybe you're moving on with life, maybe you move for a job, maybe something happened in your family, if there's something that's causing maybe you have to sell a home for an elderly parent or whatever it may be, you got to sell your home. Sell your home with the best. Call Darren James, 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com for Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity.
After Further Review is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, the media has voted for the projected order of finish in the ACC, which is so interesting. It's the ACC, the media there have basically turned Clemson into the ACC's Alabama. Clemson got 103 first-place votes, so the Clemson Tigers are favored to win the ACC, followed by Florida State with 67 first-place votes. Interesting that essentially LSU and Florida State are in the exact same spot in their respective leagues, where you're looking up at a perennial power that this year you're probably better than and deserve to be ranked higher than or favored. Now, it'll all play itself out on the field. It's why we play the games. But it's just interesting to see Clemson get the benefit of the doubt despite the fact that they've had massive turnover. And yes, look, I mean, they played in the Orange Bowl a year ago, and they got it together despite a 3-loss season. But it certainly feels different around Clemson now than it did a half-decade ago when they won 2 out of 3 national championships and played in a couple of others. North Carolina, third, you can tell it's just a massive drop-off. That's just a hat tip to Drake May there. 5 first-place votes for the Tar Heels. NC State finished 4th. No Devin Leary. He's, of course, at Kentucky. Now they got 1 first-place vote. And then Miami, picked 5th in the ACC this year by the media. I mean, if you're wondering, Duke, Pitt, Louisville, Wake, no Sam Hartman there. Syracuse 10th, Virginia Tech 11th. My goodness, were they a dumpster fire last year? See if they can get it together. Georgia Tech 12th, Boston College, and then Virginia picked to finish dead last in the ACC. And I bring up Virginia because who they open with. Virginia opens the season on the road in Knoxville against the Volunteers. And Tennessee, to me, is the team that is the biggest wild card in all of college football this year. Bear with me. There's a lot of givens. We know the Big Ten is coming down to Ohio State and Michigan, don't we? Like, there's not going to be a surprise team in the Big Ten that jumps up and unseats one of those two teams. Keep your Penn State nonsense, okay? Sean Clifford was the starting quarterback there for 5 years. He's gone. They're not going to be better at Penn State this year. We know Georgia and Alabama and LSU all have their rightful place. We know why Oregon and Southern Cal are projected where they are. ESPN listed 17 teams that can make the college football playoff. Not win it, but they looked at their FPI. And FPI, again, it's just a computer metric. FPI spit out 17 teams that can make the college football playoff. And I could buy it. I could totally buy it. Look, we've seen Washington make the college football playoff. We've seen Cincinnati make the college football playoff. Notre Dame has made the college football playoff. making the CFP and winning the CFP are dramatically different propositions. I would submit to you there's probably 6 teams that could actually win the college football playoff. That's it. Making the college football playoff, though, I think is a very different conversation. The team, though, that I think Utah's won the last 2 Pac-12 championships. Could Utah make the playoff? Damn right they can. They got a home game against Florida. If they win the Pac-12 again, as maybe a one-loss team or an undefeated team, could they get in? Sure. Absolutely they can. Make the play. Utah's not winning it, but can they make it? Yes. Tennessee is the team that I think has the potential biggest upside here. And the reason that I bring up Tennessee is because of their schedule. Now, what none of us knows yet, Hendon Hooker last year was magnificent. There's not even an argument against him. Until he tore his ACL, he should have been the Heisman Trophy winner. He was awesome. I get it. They had a terrible day in Athens in the rain, and it was a miserable day, and it happens. And he got hurt, and they got run at South Carolina, and it was a terrible way to end it, and I get it. But that was an 11-win team, and if Joe Milton can carry the baton and keep that offense churning at the rate it did a year ago, here's Tennessee's schedule. Just mentioned they open up against Virginia. And Virginia is picked to finish dead last in the ACC. They go Virginia, Austin Peay. They're at Florida on September the 16th. I think they'll be favored in that game. Is that fair? What do you think? Would you think Tennessee be favored at Florida?
Yeah, I do.
UTSA, they're home against South Carolina. They get an open date, then they're home against Texas A&M. That's their rotating cross-divisional. They're favored in every one of these games. It's not saying they're going to win them, but they're favored in every one of these games. After A&M, you go to Bama, where they should be an underdog. We'll see if they are, but they should be on the road in Tuscaloosa. Then they're at Kentucky. That's tough. Back-to-back road games. I'm not saying that's easy, but that's tough. But aside from that, everything's manageable. You're home against UConn. You're at Missouri. You're home against Georgia, home against Vanderbilt. Even if they split, if Tennessee splits Bama and Kentucky, they have a home game against Georgia on November 18th. They got a swing against Georgia on November the 18th in their building for a shot to win the SEC East. And if you win the East, you go to Atlanta and you play a game to go into the playoff. Tennessee, I'm looking at DraftKings right now. DraftKings, the odds to make the playoff for Tennessee, no is minus 1,200. And I get why. They got to play Bama and Georgia. I get it. They're in the same division as Georgia, and they got to play Bama in Tuscaloosa. I get why. They're going to be an underdog in those 2 games. And if they lose those 2, then they can't get in. But if they split those 2, in particular losing at Bama but beating Georgia, they're in Atlanta. But yes to make the playoff is plus 700 at DraftKings. You want to take a flyer on somebody? To me, it's Tennessee. Because for the same reasons we've talked about Georgia just cakewalking into the playoff because their schedule is a breeze, Tennessee plays in that same SEC East and they get Georgia at home. And for all the things we've talked about with Georgia, you're replacing not only Stetson Bennett, we'll see how good Carson Beck is, but you're also replacing your offensive coordinator who, look, everyone talks about Todd Monken as the guy that was sort of the unlock, the magical unlock in Athens. I mean, Mike Bobo, they ran him out of town last time he was in Athens. So I'm not telling you Georgia's going to be bad. I mean, they're going to probably go 11-1 or 12-0. But could Tennessee beat Georgia in Tuscaloosa? Sure. And if they do, they're a win in Atlanta away from going to the playoff. Yeah, I'm not predicting that, but if you want to talk about the team that could upset the apple cart, I personally think this year it's Tennessee. But the gigantic if, the unknown is Joe Milton good enough? Hendon Hooker was magnificent. He was awesome. Even with the injury, if I was a Heisman voter, I still would have voted for Hendon Hooker to win the Heisman Trophy. He would have been number one on my ballot, even with the injury last year. I'm not a voter, but if I were, he would have been number one on my ballot. If Joe Milton in that offense can play anywhere near that level, yeah, they got a great chance to be that wild card team. That could be what Cincinnati was, what TCU was last year, what Washington was back in 2016, what Notre Dame has been in the playoff a couple times. A team that surprises everybody and makes a run into the playoff. I'm pretty excited because we're not going to have to talk about it for much longer. Camps are opening up this week, and pretty soon they're going to be playing football. We'll get those answers on the field. All right, we're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey for our friends over in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. Again, theantiagingclinics.com. It is a new month, and every single month over at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, they always have great specials. So if you're interested, you can learn more about the great specials that they have. And as we always talk about at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, a simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. You want to feel like your younger self? They can help. One simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com. Okay, y'all, it is after further review. We'll knock out our final break here of hour number 2. Muse will do Tigers and the Pros. In 15 minutes from right now, when we come back, in 15 minutes, we're going to talk about LSU landing a legacy tight end commit. DJ LaFleur, the last name sounds familiar, it should. Son of former LSU All-American and first-round draft pick David LaFleur, has committed to LSU for the class of 2025. I'm going to give you some thoughts on that in 15 minutes from right now. Don't you move, it's AFR.
AFR.
Last night, when I got home from work, Drew wanted to swim, so we put him in the pool. It was about 6:30, 6:45. Erica had some errands to run, so I was like, "Yeah, look, I'll sit out there with him, and then we'll go." Drew and I usually run some errands, or he likes to just ride around in the car. He didn't get out of the pool until 8:30. He spent 2 hours in the pool. I didn't know how long he was going to swim, but I didn't get in because I didn't know when he was going to get out. So I sat outside of the pool for 2 hours last night, from 6:30 to 8:30, while Drew swam. You know how many times I got bit by a mosquito? None. Aeon Mosquito Eradicator, you can find it at Clegg's Nursery. Yo, we live in South Louisiana. People have mosquitoes. I don't. The only thing I do at my house, that mosquito thing I get at Clegg's. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, full greenhouses and tons of other great stuff. Buy local, shop local, Clegg's Nursery.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best.
After Further Review is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2, Musso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
All right, of course, last week, Joe Burrow was carted off the field at Bengals training camp with a calf strain. Zach Taylor confirmed that injury after the practice, then later said Burrow would miss several weeks. Well, the latest update, Joey B being seen back around the team at training camp wearing a calf sleeve similar to the one he had before the injury. The good news is he's walking normally. No limp, no scooter, nothing besides the calf sleeve. So several weeks, I would imagine, means wrap Joe Burrow in bubble wrap and just have him ready for game number 1 because he doesn't need training camp. Speaking of injuries and guys coming back from injuries, Ben Simmons. Been a minute since we've heard that name. Reportedly, per his agent, 100% healthy. The expectation is that he'll be able to start the season. That, of course, Bernie Lee, Simmons' agent, was on NBA Sirius XM Radio, and that confirmed a report from Ian Begley of SNY. So, Ben Simmons, apparently going to be ready for the Nets. We'll see. Jake Fraley last night, 1 for 5, single, drove in a run and scored a run as well as the Cincinnati Reds took down the Chicago Cubs. RBI number 63 for Fraley, the average sitting there at 268. Alex Bregman for the Astros wore the collar, 0 for 3, but did walk twice and came around to score in the ball game as well. And the Astros defeated the Guardians 7-3. That is Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com, where Baton Rouge and all of Louisiana has gone to get engaged for 40 years. 2 locations in Baton Rouge, but also in Lafayette. Shout out to our friends over there at ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette. New Orleans, shout out 100.3 ESPN New Orleans. Shreveport, shout out. We don't have an audience in Shreveport, at least not a terrestrial audience, but would love that. All people stream us in Shreveport. Love y'all very much. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. Got a text from Greg Lehman into the show. You can always text the show, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. We were talking about Steve Sarkisian. Was that last hour? Yeah, it was last hour. No, it was in hour number 1. It was hour number 1 we talked about Sark. And he
hour
said
2, bro. It was last hour.
This is hour 2. He said, has any coach been the head coach at more prestigious football schools than Sarkisian? The only one that immediately popped into mind is Lincoln Riley, who has been at Oklahoma and USC. Now, Washington may not seem that prestigious, but Washington did win a national title. They shared a national title with Georgia Tech in 1990. So it's not that long ago that Washington was among the national elite. So there is history at UW, but essentially with Riley, you're talking about USC, which is where Sark has been as well, and then Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma, whatever order, there's that as well. Off the top of my head, I mean, maybe you could look at a completely different era of football. I mean, if you want to bring it close to home, Paul Dietzel was the head coach at LSU and left LSU for Army, which was at the time the preeminent college football program with Heisman Trophy winners and national championships. We know the service academies aren't now what they were athletically, but at the time that was massive. So I don't know. Any others?
What about Urban Meyer, Florida and Ohio State?
No, for sure. Utah as well.
Utah as well,
Utah wasn't a Power 5 then, but he really birthed Utah as a national contender. Certainly when he had an undefeated season there. Yeah, Herb definitely. Florida and Ohio State. All right, it's after further review. Let me know if you got answers or other ideas. Brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Remember, ISO 17025 accreditation is available. If you don't know what it is, you probably don't need it. But if you know what it is, you know why that is so important. Also at Michelli, they got their track system. It's track records, assets, and calibrations. It's a free service. Allows you 24/7, 365 access to all of your calibration certificates. It makes you more efficient. 76 years, they still love doing business with a handshake. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. Michelli.com. LSU lands a legacy tight end commit. We're talking about him right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Pretty pumped up about Thursday. Y'all will be doing the Traction Flag Football Draft right here in studio. So if your son or daughter wants to play flag football, remember this is Drew Brees' league, the FNA, Football in America, and Traction hosts that league. They have literally 100 flag football teams in that league. So I think it's like ages 5 and up, maybe even younger than that. Check it out, TractionSports.com. If your son or daughter wants to play flag football, the only place to do it is at Traction. TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. And hey, look, with the summer coming to an end, school's going to be back in session. It's a great time to start thinking. If your son or daughter is an athlete and they're out of season, so maybe they play a spring or summer sport, when you get into the fall, send them to Traction. Small group training. Memberships are available where you can have unlimited training sessions for a small fee. It is stunning how affordable this is. Get sports-specific training for your son or daughter from the best in the business at Traction. TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. A judge signed a protective order today in an effort to plug the leaks of evidence in the Madison Brooks case. It's an agreement that defense and prosecutors all approved in court today. Hear from the attorney who leaked the documents to the investigative unit, why he did it, and what he says the evidence shows. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco.
I'm Christine Lisi. A reunion for Justin Verlander and the Astros. On this MLB trade deadline day, Houston acquired Verlander from the Mets. He and the Astros, of course, won 2 World Series championships during his 5.5-year tenure in Houston. Mets getting the Astros' top 2 outfield prospects, Drew Gilbert and Ryan Clifford, in the deal. ESPN baseball insider Kylie McDaniel.
Gilbert is a guy that could potentially be in the big leagues next year. There's a little bit of Brett Gardner to him. He might be more of a center fielder. 15, 20 homers, but hard-nosed guy, plus hitter, plus runner, can defend, can kind of do a little bit of everything. Ryan Clifford has been the big arrow-up guy, might have 30-plus home run power as like a right field first baseman kind of guy.
Astros owner Jim Crane said New York's potentially paying $54 million to help Houston pay off Verlander's contract. From ESPN's Jeff Passan, Dodgers and Tigers had a trade involving lefty Eduardo Rodriguez, but he invoked his no-trade clause, which did include LA, so the deal's now dead. Orioles finalizing a deal for Cardinals right-hander Jack Flaherty. Marlins added a big bat, acquired slugging third baseman Jake Berger from the White Sox. Miami's in a 3-way tie for the final NL wildcard spot.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR powered by Sunshine, your Louisiana John Deere dealer. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers continue riding an absolute heater on the recruiting trail. So after picking up 3 commitments over the weekend, including a couple of tight ends, or excuse me, a couple of offensive linemen, LSU on Tuesday picked up a commitment from 4-star 2025 tight end J.D. LaFleur. The last name should sound familiar. This is David LaFleur's kid. David LaFleur, for those who don't know, was a tight end at LSU in the 1990s. He was an All-American in 1996. He was a first-round draft pick of the Dallas Cowboys in the 1997 draft. Unfortunately, his NFL career was cut short because of a neck injury that persisted and ultimately cost him his professional career. But make no mistake, until Thaddeus Moss came along in 2019, there were really 2 pass-catching tight ends in all of LSU history that were of note. And it was David LaFleur and Robert Royal. Like, that was really it. That was the list until Moss came along and broke all of their single-season receiving records. And LaFleur was obviously more of a traditional double-edged sword. He was an inline blocker who could also catch the football. He was, I hesitate to call him Kelsey or Kittle, one of those guys, but he was more of that Gronk. He was more of that mold than he was, say, Jimmy Graham, who is more the pass-catching tight end, what we see today, O.J. Howard, Jawan Johnson. So J.D. LaFleur, let's run through it here. J.D. LaFleur, class of 2025. He is at Sulphur High, obviously in Louisiana. And when you look at the recruiting profile for J.D. LaFleur, he's a 4-star, and he's one of the top tight ends in the country for the 2025 class. He's already 6'6", 220. So physically, again, he's a rising junior. He's about to start his junior year of high school. He's already 6'6", 220. He is according to On3, he's a 4-star. 247 has him as a 3-star. But either way, he's a consensus top 10 player in Louisiana for the class of 2025 and had offers. I tell you all the time, I look at who was interested in you. And you look at this offer list, LSU, Florida, Miami, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Baylor, and he had others. So you're talking about a guy that was recruited by Mike Denbrock, had tons of big-time offers, is a legacy. There's a lot of reasons to be in love with this decision and with this commitment. So, couple things. Number one is nostalgia. When David LaFleur was playing for LSU, that was just sort of a formative time for me, like as a fan, that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. In the 90s, I was in high school, and those LSU teams I loved, man. When David LaFleur was there, he helped LSU snap that string of 6 straight losing seasons under Mike Archer and then Curly Hallman. DiNardo came in and won the Independence Bowl in 95. And, of course, in 96, they won 10 games, beat Clemson in the Peach Bowl, and David LaFleur was a huge part of that. Was an All-American in 1996, and then was a first-round draft pick in 1997. So, LaFleur and Nicky Savoie were both tight ends together in 1996, and both got drafted in 1997. LaFleur to the Cowboys and Savoie to the New Orleans Saints. So you look at the time that David LaFleur was at LSU, and then just the fact that he's a legacy and it's really cool, in the same way that it was really cool when Josh Maravich and Sharif O'Neal played at LSU, or when Walker Howard signed with the football program. It's always nostalgic and pretty cool when you have legacy players come through LSU. And look, or any school really. Look, David LaFleur was a stud, man. There's no two ways around it. That dude was a first-round draft pick, and he's a throwback tight end, and he was awesome to watch, and got so many great memories of watching David LaFleur play at LSU, and now his son is committed. The other reasons that the J.D. LaFleur news is really big, number one, of course, is it's another top player in Louisiana. And I know I hammer this home every time that LSU ends up getting a commitment from a Louisiana kid, but it just further illustrates why Brian Kelly is here. When you can recruit the best players in Louisiana, and by extension, you are recruiting the best players in the country, it's just easier. It's why LSU and Brian Kelly will always be relevant. It's why they'll always have a pipeline of talent. And when LSU isn't winning, it's never going to be for lack of talent. It's going to be because organizationally the team's a mess. You made a bad coaching hire. You made a bad coordinator hire. I think back, of course, we could look at 2020 and 2021 with Ed, but look at 2008 with Les Miles. You come off a national championship. You lose Bo Pelini to Nebraska. They promoted defensively from within with Bradley Dale Pivito and Doug Mallory, and it was a total disaster. The defense fell apart. You had a young quarterback who threw a lot of interceptions, and you had a 5-loss season. And what did you do? Well, you went and got a proven defense coordinator in John Chavis. Like, if it ever doesn't work at LSU, it's never going to be because of just lack of talent. So, someone asked me earlier today, can Nebraska ever get back to the level that they were in the 90s? And the answer is no, they can't. Cannot. Binary. They cannot. You want to know why? Here's Nebraska. Nebraska for the class of 2023. The state of Nebraska. Best player in the state of Nebraska is a tight end named Carter Nelson. He's the 40th best player in the country. That's pretty good. The number 2 player in the state of Nebraska is Daniel Kalen. He's a quarterback. He's number 233 nationally. The 3rd best player in the state of Nebraska is Davon Hall. He is not ranked nationally. There are only 2 players in that entire state that are ranked nationally. Louisiana, for the class of 2024, has Dominic McKinley, Deshaun McBride, Kylan Billiot, Tradez Green, Tylen Singleton, Jawan Johnson, Wardell Mack, Kalaj Cobbins, 8 players, all ranked within the top 235 nationally. 8. Nebraska's got 2. That's why Nebraska will never win again. Lawrence Phillips was from Arkansas. Tommy Frazier was from Florida. Kids from Florida aren't going to Nebraska to play quarterback ever again. It's not happening. So, and you're certainly not going to be able to roster 1 to 85. You'll always be able to do it at LSU. So the nostalgia, obviously keeping another talented blue chip player from the state of Louisiana home in 2025 is so big. And then if you look, one more thing, which I know we've talked about plenty, it's Brian Kelly and his tight ends. You know, on Monday, we were talking about the offensive line commits that LSU got. And I told you there's 2 positions that Brian Kelly has pumped talent into the NFL at a greater level than any other. It's offensive line and tight end. And the same things I was telling you about the offensive line, I can tell you about tight end. When Brian Kelly was at Notre Dame, he had 9 tight ends drafted. 9. LSU, since 1997, when David LaFleur was drafted in round 1, after David LaFleur and Nicky Savoie were both drafted in 1997, LSU has had a total of 4 tight ends drafted in 25 years. Robert Royal, Keith Zinger, Foster Moreau, and Stephon Sullivan. Yes, he was drafted as a tight end. And that's a big asterisk because he was a receiver. Brian Kelly knows what he's looking for in tight ends. He knows how to recruit, develop them, and get them to the NFL draft. And when you look at what that tight end room is going to look like in 2023 and beyond, you can see what's coming. Mason Taylor as a sophomore, plus the 3 freshmen you just signed, Mac Markway, Kamarian Pimpton, and Jackson McGowan. In 2024, Mason Taylor will be a junior. You'll have the 3 players I just mentioned as sophomores, and then you'll have Tradez Green, one of the top players in the state of Louisiana, top tight end in the state of Louisiana in 2024. And then in 2025, if Mason Taylor comes back for senior year, you'll have him, Markway, Pimpton, McGowan, provided no one transfers, Tradez Green as a sophomore, and then you add LaFleur. You can see very clearly what Brian Kelly is building at that position in this program. And how can you help but be excited? You know Louisiana is going to pump receivers and running backs into this program. Brian Kelly is already doing a great job recruiting the quarterback position. And he loves him some tight ends. And it shows, and they are coming en masse. And J.D. LaFleur is the next. Okay, it's After Further Review. Tuesday shows. Excited to tell you. Powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. If you missed it, I posted a video Friday. I got to go out to Deville, and there are 17 Sunshine locations. So if you just start at Alec and go south, if you want a John Deere, you're getting it from Sunshine, and there's 17 of them. So there's one near you. So you just go to the website, which is sunequip.com, SUNEQUIP, sunequip.com. But it was so cool, man. I felt like a little kid playing with a toy on Friday when I got to go ride that giant tractor. It was so cool, man. All of the technology in it, that's the thing that, as I learned, sets John Deere apart. I mean, if you're a farmer, if you're in agriculture, you already understand that. But they're everything from zero-turn mowers that you want to use at your house up to, seven-figure dollar amount machinery that farmers use to keep agriculture in our state humming. Check out our friends over at Sunshine. Sunequip.com. Of course, it's the great technology that comes along with a Deere. It's why people buy green. They own and manufacture all their components. There are no third parties. The service that they offer at Sunshine, resale value it holds with John Deere equipment. And, of course, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana is Sunshine Equipment. Sunequip.com. 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 All right, it's after further review. And I got a cool tractor on the set. So you should check out the set. If you're not watching us live, jump on YouTube, and you can see that big tractor right there. Muse, how long did it take you to get that tractor out of the box today?
Probably about 10 minutes total.
Probably longer than you'd like to admit.
Yeah, it was in there, man. It was like
I had to go Donkey Kong on that thing, man.
Yeah.
Muse had his knife. He was trying to cut the tape and all the little thing. And I was like, man, just give me it. We got to go. I started I think the box is still in the hall. I just started ripping the box to hell.
I'll go pick that up later.
We had to get that. We had to get it out. The show's about to start.
Exactly. It needs to be on the set. That's what it's here for.
And the John Deere hat. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. Come back. Saints practiced earlier today. If you missed it, Maddy Hudak was here in hour number 1. You can catch Maddy's recap on the After Further Review Saints YouTube channel, or however you get your podcast. Just search After Further Review. You'll get our Saints camp reports every day with Maddy Hudak. We appreciate her doing the heavy lifting, getting out to camp, sweating, and joining us here to let us know what we missed. But you can catch your camp report. When we come back, though, both Dennis Allen and Michael Thomas met with reporters. Thomas talking about his health continues to be intriguing. And we'll let you hear what he said today when we come back at AFR.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch.
After Further Review is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, rolling along. Glad you're with us here. Tuesday edition of AFR. Tigers will be on the practice field on Thursday for the start of fall camp on a really anticipated season. The New Orleans Saints hit the practice field today, was day 6. Here was Dennis Allen after day 6 of training camp. The Saints spent part of the day outdoors, part of the day indoors.
I thought another good practice. I think our guys are competing. That's kind of the biggest thing I take away from it. You know, we went outside for the early part of practice, get some of that heat. Thought our guys pushed through that. That was difficult. And I thought it really picked up as we came back inside, got some good teamwork in.
A couple of just personnel notes here before we get into some of the stuff that DA had to say about Michael Thomas, and we'll hear from Mike Thomas as well. First, remember Trevor Penning last week had a foot injury that kept him out for a day. He's back, which is fantastic to see. I don't know how you could look at that, a guy who missed the bulk of his rookie season because of 2 unrelated foot injuries, and then a couple days into camp has another foot injury, how you cannot look at it and be concerned. But the good news is Trevor Penning has been back out there, and here was Dennis Allen on his development.
Still a work in progress. You know, he's a young guy that hasn't had a lot of opportunities, hadn't had a lot of plays, a lot of reps. So he's playing a little bit of catch up in that regard, but he's working extremely hard at it. And like I said before, I think he's miles ahead of where he was when we finished the season last year. But yet, you know, there's still a lot of things he's got to improve on.
I would love to know, and we can't know this, but I would love to know what Trevor Penning's role would have been a year ago had he not been injured in the preseason. Had he continued his development, would he have emerged as a starter? We don't know the answer. But when you hear Dennis Allen say he's light years ahead now of where he was at the end of the season, that makes sense because he went through camp, he was injured in the preseason, and then missed the bulk of the season, and then returned and got hurt again. So naturally, you would hope that he's healthy and is a year removed from last year's in his second training camp, that he would be further along in this training camp than he was after starting and stopping like he did a year ago. But I'm going to continue to say this. We spent a lot of time in My Hands in the Air. We spent a lot of time looking at tight ends because it's fascinating about Jimmy Graham. We've spent a lot of time talking about Jake Haener because he's a young quarterback and he's turning heads a week into camp. So there's a lot of storylines that are interesting and more interesting. But as far as the success of the 2023 New Orleans Saints, Jake Haener is going to have nothing to do with that. Right? I mean, barring something horribly unforeseen, and you have a Brock Purdy-like situation, Jake Haener isn't going to make an impact on this Saints team. He's just not. He's a rookie. He's a fourth-round pick. Jameis is your backup. They're going to stash Jake Haener, and he might have a role next year or beyond. We'll see. The success of this year's team, Trevor Penning has to have a major role on this team. He was a first-round pick. You need him to be a starter and make you better on the offensive line and quite possibly be your starting left tackle. So, yes, that's massive. So, too, is Michael Thomas's health. Let's start with number 3. Dennis Allen was asked, is Mike Thomas on a veteran practice schedule, which guys have veteran days off during camp and all that sort of stuff. Here's what he said about Thomas's schedule.
We've got, like I talked about early in camp, I think there's a number of guys that we have some planned limited practice days, some planned extra days off. And so, look, we got a plan for Mike. I think he's been doing a good job, going through that plan and trusting in what we're doing. And I think every day you see just a little bit more improvement out of him, more and more confidence, and I think it's been good to see.
Totally fine with that. I don't need Michael Thomas in training camp. I don't need Michael Thomas in the preseason. I'm sitting here talking about Michael Thomas, and I understand why he's interesting. This is a guy who was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and then he hasn't played in 3 years. He signed a $100 million contract. A year after that, had the best season for a receiver in the history of the NFL, and then subsequently hasn't played for 3 years. I get why he's interesting. I also don't care at all today. I don't care today. I'm not going to care tomorrow. I'm not going to care in any of the 3 preseason games. I'm only going to care week 1, week 18, and what happens between the 2. As for Michael Thomas, he was asked point blank, are you 100%? Here was his answer.
I don't really know what your 100% is. I'm always chasing perfection and trying to, win every rep. I'm a competitor. I don't prepare to lose. I prepare to execute and make the play. So it's a process. It's a learning process. But the good thing about the Saints, we have a lot of great competition on the other side of the ball. So I feel like it won't take long. But you got to get in the groove. You got to get, some things down. But with the coaching and the players I'm surrounded by, I'm not really worried. I'm just taking it one day at a time.
The question was, are you 100%? That's a pretty straightforward question, no? Can we agree, are you 100%? I would think that's a yes or no question. I don't think there needs to be a lot of explanation. Instead, you got 31 seconds of, I don't know what your definition of 100% is, and a lot of blobbity-bloop. Look, last week, I made a point about Derek Carr and Chris Olave. If you weren't here, I'll summarize it really quickly. Those two guys spent a lot of time this offseason together. Olave went out to Las Vegas and worked with Derek Carr out there. And, of course, they got reps in OTAs and minicamp and all that sort of stuff. And the benefit of all of that work away from the practice field is that when you get into now, which is preparing you for the season, you're already rolling. You're not learning timing right now. You're perfecting things. Those two, Olave and Derek Carr, spend so much time this offseason together that it feels like they're light years ahead. You don't worry about that. Now, what about Michael Thomas? Here was Michael Thomas talking about his relationship with Carr and how it's progressing.
I think it's been progressing tremendously. Derek, he's a great leader. He's very vocal. He knows what he wants. He tells us what he wants. As an offense as a whole, we lean on him to be able to come out there and make his job easier. So we're taking it one day at a time, but we're doing a lot of communicating and, correcting our mistakes when they happen after practice or right after during special teams, certain situations. So I feel like that's something that's trending in the right direction, but we never want to feel like we arrived or we're 100% because it's a long season. And right now we're just in training camp. We haven't even played a preseason game yet, so we're just building, staying honest with ourselves and competing at a high level.
I do want to point out, because we think in terms of Michael Thomas and his timing with Drew Brees, which is when he was setting records. But when Drew Brees was injured and Teddy Bridgewater stepped in, Michael Thomas didn't miss a beat. I'll also point out that a year ago, we saw Michael Thomas play 3 games. He was targeted 22 times. He caught 16 of his 22 targets for 171 yards and 3 touchdowns. That was an average of 10.7 yards per reception. So Michael Thomas last year with an injured Jameis Winston, with a broken back Jameis Winston, still averaged a first down every time he caught the ball. I am very optimistic about Michael Thomas's ability on the field, his timing with Derek Carr. All of that, I'm very optimistic about it if he's on the field. And that's the thing that I have to see. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. And for our friends listening in Lafayette, Southwest Volkswagen. Same great ownership group, 2 dealerships. South Point Volkswagen is Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Maybe you're buying that vehicle for the first-time driver in your family. The Taos is the fun-sized SUV. The ID4, you can get a $7,500 lease bonus. That's the all-electric SUV. They are fun to drive, man. I always wondered, man, with an electric vehicle, is it just going to have the power? I'm going to tell you, you tell that thing to go, boom, it goes. Go test drive an ID4. If you're interested in getting behind the wheel of an electric vehicle, that is an experience, man. Test drive one over at South Point Volkswagen. Remember, with every new Volkswagen from South Point, you get 2 years of free maintenance on every new vehicle at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. A lot still to do, and not a ton of time to do it. When we come back, I will kind of get you updated on LSU's training camp schedule, which they released to us. It is watch list season, and an LSU staffer, a football staffer, an off-field staff member, got a really cool honor today. What that means about Brian Kelly and the staff he's building. I want to talk about that coming up here in just a little bit as well. We're glad you're hanging out here on a Tuesday edition of AFR, presented by Sunshine. Stick around with us here on AFR.
AFR.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every
After Further Review is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Rolling along, y'all. Hey, big shout out to J.R. Belton, LSU's director of recruiting. Today, 24/7 Sports released their 30 under 30 in college football. 30 people in college football under the age of 30 who are rising stars in the profession. And LSU's J.R. Belton on that list. So congrats to him. The quick write-up, it's short, I'll read it. A behind-the-scenes superstar for LSU, Belton's risen quickly from a recruiting intern at Louisiana Tech to an integral piece of one of college football's recruiting behemoths. Belton joined LSU staff in 2021 as director of scouting, was elevated to director of recruiting a year later. Belton helps oversee recruiting strategies and is on the front lines for a lot of LSU major recruiting battles. Many expect the former Louisiana Tech quarterback and wide receiver to keep climbing too. One source said of Belton, quote, "He'll be an athletic director one day," end quote. One of the things that's really cool about this is, and hat tip to J.R. Belton, obviously 24/7 Sports, like, they know recruiting. I mean, I think many people know who Shannon Terry is. Shannon Terry founded Rivals, sold it, had a non-compete. When the non-compete expired, he launched 24/7 Sports, ultimately sold it, had a non-compete. When his non-compete expired, he launched On3. So he's just a guy. He's a dude. I mean, he's the guy who has sort of built this industry. And he built 24/7 Sports, and we all know why it has the reputation it does. And it's made up of people who not only cover the sport, but are deep in recruiting circles. So they know not only the on-field coaching staff members that recruit, but also the guys and the men and women behind the scenes that do really integral work. And it's one of the things that I think if you're someone who follows recruiting very deeply, you understand that. You know, if you're subscribed to the recruiting sites and you read the message boards and you're paying attention a lot, you'll understand that. But that's still a very, very small corner of a fan base at large. And I think a lot of people don't quite know what guys like J.R. Belton and Sherman Wilson and Jordan Arcemont do for the LSU program until you see stuff like this where you go, oh, look, that guy's got that type of reputation. Yes, he does, because they're the ones that help put together the recruiting board, that are watching a lot of film, that are scouting players, that are making recommendations to the coaches, that are organizing recruiting events, that are taking care of the recruits, that are making a lot of the phone calls. Remember, only your on-field coaches can recruit off campus, can go in home with a recruiter, can go recruit him at his high school or anything like that. But when the recruit comes to campus, and when you're on the phone with a lot of these recruits, a lot of times it's these guys. It's Sherman, it's JR, it's Jordan Arsamont. It's those guys that are really helping push a lot of that work forward. So, yeah, man, they're integral to the whole recruiting process. So when you talk about recruiting staff and budget and all that stuff, those are the guys that falls under their umbrella. So hat tip to J.R. Belton, but it's not just J.R. There's a lot of people in that recruiting office that do fantastic work, and it's why LSU continues to be creative and on the forefront, pumping out a lot of the content, the social media graphics you see, all the Bayou Splash, all that sort of stuff is organized by guys like J.R. Belton, who's LSU's director of recruiting. So congrats to him, man, for being named on that list. I mean, it's a list largely made up of a lot of coordinators and position coaches and fewer off-field staffers. So the fact that he's on that list speaks volumes. So congrats to J.R. Belton there. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by DraftKings, official sports betting partner of ours here at AFR. No matter what it is you want to bet on, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. If you're a new customer, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make a $5 bet, and they'll give you instantly $150 in bonus bets. Check them out online. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Do it right now. We were talking just a little bit ago about college football playoff futures bets. If you want to bet on who's going to win the national championship, who's going to win the Heisman, you want to bet on college football win totals or the NFL, we're talking about odds to make the college football playoff. You can bet on all of that at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Major League Baseball is in full swing. If you love the fight game like I do, boxing, MMA, no better place than at DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Again, new customers, use the promo code Baton Rouge. New customers, use the promo code Baton Rouge. One word. Make a $5 bet on anything. Instantly, they will give you $150 in bonus bets. That's only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select pairs only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Licensed partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. Oh, y'all, it is After Further Review. Muse, hit me up with a check on this poll question, which I think I know how it's going to go. You're laughing, so I know how it's going to go. Read the question again. I want to tell you what I think the answer is before you read the results.
Today's Citizens Bank poll of the day. Would you subscribe to Apple TV to watch Pac-12 football?
I'm going to guess it is 99% no.
Close. 97% no.
Okay. I was close. I don't know. Someone who has Apple TV will have to tell me this, as I don't know that they've put out a price or anything. But for those that missed it, with all the goings on right now with the Pac-12 and the Big 12, essentially the Pac-12 is waiting for their new TV rights deal. They've been waiting on it. Today, their commissioner, George Kliavkoff, released what is the initial offering, and it is not a linear TV deal, meaning it's not with ABC, NBC, CBS, ESPN, Fox, one of the networks. It's with Apple. Now, Apple can afford to pay him a whole bunch, but apparently they ain't trying to pay him a whole bunch. What's been offered is part of a rev share where the Pac-12 would likely make money on subscriptions. So if people who are Pac-12 football fans want to watch Pac-12 football, they would have to subscribe to Apple Plus. In the I guess there would be a Pac-12 network or Pac-12 football package specifically that you could buy in the same way that, like, how much does YouTube TV cost? Do you know?
I don't know.
Paul, do you have YouTube TV?
I do not know.
Okay. You guys are no help whatsoever. Let's see. YouTube TV is it's $64.99 for your first 3 months. So $70. But then you can also get Sunday Ticket, right? So the Sunday Ticket is I think it's $100 for the year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to look it up right now really quickly, but whatever. I can't find it. I'm not going to sit here and bore you while I look through pricing on YouTube TV Live. But the point is, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 for the year is what I would guess you'd spend for that. And nationally, you're not going to get people to do it, especially without USC, UCLA, because what's the draw? The only draw would be if there was a one-off game that you wanted to see. Like if there was a prime time Oregon-Utah game that was both teams were in the top 10, had championship implications, then I think people would buy it. But what you'd probably see people do is buy it or take a free trial and then cancel. really what you'd be banking on if you're the Pac-12 is your fans who want to see their teams spending $100 a year to watch Pac-12 football. And I don't, like, it's an aggregate. Like, you would have to have a massive number willing to spend that, and then you'd have a rev share on it. The gigantic difference with that is essentially what ESPN did in its infancy. When ESPN in 1979 launched, no cable providers were carrying a 24-hour sports network, and that's basically what happened. Is the cable providers would pay to carry the channel. Well, nobody wanted ESPN, so the deal ESPN did was they said, "Hey, don't pay us up front. If people call you and subscribe to our channel, pay us a rights fee for every single subscriber." Well, ESPN ended up being in literally every home, and that's how they became the behemoth that they are. Well, with cord cutting, those numbers have gone down, which is why you've seen ESPN roll out an OTT, an ESPN Plus subscription model to try to offset some of that revenue lost. I don't know that many of you care about that, but the point is that model worked for ESPN in 1979 because they were fledgling. It was the opportunity that they had to grow. If you're an established conference, you're not looking for the opportunity to try to grow, to bet on the come. You need salary. You need money in hand that you can tell all of your teams in your league, this is how much money you will get every year. Because that's how they plan budgets. That's how they build facilities. That's how they hire coaches. Like, that's how they know what a recruiting budget looks like for every sport, because it's all based on football, and most of football's revenue comes from your conference affiliation with your TV network revenue. So if you don't have that in hand, how do you plan a budget? The Pac-12 is just dying on the vine. I don't know how they survive this. Maybe George Kliavkoff has a rabbit in his hat, a trick up his sleeve, something like that. But it is hard to see right now if after all this, just days after you lose Colorado, you're down to 9 members for next year, and the thing that your league is looking to you, wondering, okay, what's our plan of action? What you come with is a subscription model with Apple TV. Hard to see the Pac-12 surviving. Certainly the Pac-12 as we know it surviving. All right, y'all. It's after further review. Hey, yesterday was just a horrendous weather day in these parts. If you had any issues with your roof, we're happy to help at HUDCO. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Yesterday, as soon as the storm passed, we had inspectors on roofs, getting trees off of people's roofs, putting up blue tarps. It's the benefit of being a community business from Louisiana. We all live here in Louisiana in our communities. We got boots on the ground in Lafayette as well. I know we launched on ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, so love to help you out in the 337 as well. Our crews are there. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. HUDCO Roofing and HUDCOroofing.com. Okay, y'all, it is after further review. Been a really good show. I'm glad to have you hanging out with us here. We'll knock out our final break, come back, do a little what we learned. If you want to join us, you're always welcome to do that. You can email us. You can tweet us at Matt Moscona. You can jump in the Bayou Forward YouTube.
Twitter world.
Jump in the Bayou Forward YouTube chat. I don't think we can use that anymore, Muse. It's X now. It's not Twitter.
It still says twitter.com.
It's X. It says home X. There's X at the top.
I know, but
it's X on your home screen. The app is X. It's no longer Twitter. There's no bird.
I know, but I'm looking at it right here on the desktop. Twitter.com.
I don't know. It's X. Everything saying the platform formerly Twitter, it's X. I don't think we can use it. Or you can text 225-396-4400, 396-4400. We'll wrap up next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance in Southtown. They call Southtown right there, that area on Bluebonnet near I-10. The Renaissance is a AAA 4-diamond hotel with 63 suites. That is a massive amount of suites. So if you have someone coming in town, maybe you live out of town, you're making plans to be in town for an LSU football game this fall, book your room today at the Renaissance Hotel. And, of course, A to Z, from conferences, awards banquets, nonprofit events, school fundraisers. Your sports teams need a place to be hosted and have all your meeting rooms, formals, cotillion etiquette classes, basically any event from a dozen people up to 500 people. The Renaissance Hotel can host you. And you can always dine great at the Renaissance, right there at Tallulah. Casual upscale dining inside the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
After Further Review is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. If you missed anything, remember AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. You can book your tee time at golf.breck.org. Golf.breck.org. Had a great meeting with the Breck folks yesterday. They said they had, this year, in 2023, every course has had a record number of rounds played. Stunning. So thanks to everybody who supports our great sponsors, and really to Breck, who does a magnificent job of keeping all their facilities up, and have just, over the last decade in particular, they've just progressed incredibly, and look forward to seeing what's ahead. Okay, Otter is back on Thursday. At least that... Are you surprised?
Yeah, normally he's gone for like a month.
Supposedly was already supposed to be back. Extended his stay in Del Mar. Most people, when you go on vacation, you have a great time, but there's a point where you're like, you're ready to come home.
Yeah, of course.
Not our guy. Got to pry him out of there with a backhoe. With a tractor from Sunshine. Your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. How about that? See what I did?
That's where you could get one.
Could get one there. All right. So Otter will be back on Thursday for Otter Locks. And then, of course, he won't be here Friday because he does do bets on Friday. All right, Muse, what did you learn today?
I learned that Texas is on a mission to go 8-4.
Yeah, man. Steve Sarkisian. Oh, a lot of people were saying, what about Lane Kiffin? So someone asked about Steve Sarkisian. Has anybody coached at more prominent places? Washington, USC, Texas. We talked about Lincoln Riley. We mentioned Urban Meyer. Some people said Kiffin, who's been now at Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Southern Cal. Nick Saban, LSU, Bama, Michigan State. Sark's 3 are pretty up there, man. Did you have a...
Well, no, I'm thinking, but no.
Well, the show ends at 6.
Yeah, I know.
Paulie, what'd you learn? Sorry, it's got to go.
I learned that Big Fave recorded a song with Choppa.
He did. Choppa, and who else did he say?
Baby Boy to Prince.
This is the way we live. I won't do that ever again.
Thank you.
Unless if you play it, then I'll absolutely do it again.
What'd you learn, Matt?
Big Fave also told us that he borrowed eggs he and Tyson Jackson borrowed eggs from Hester, which I don't believe at all. You think Marlon Favorite was like, yo, Hester, I need some egg whites. I'm making some egg white omelets with kale and spinach. Can I borrow some eggs? Come on, man. Big Fave. Big 300-pound defensive lineman. You think he's out there borrowing eggs? Come on.
Could be. Need some protein.
Who you think you're kidding, Big Fave? Hello, somebody. All right, it's going to do it for us. Amuse, Paulie, appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Y'all have an awesome night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, we remind you about Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com, where Shawbills is hiring, y'all. 18 locations across South Louisiana, from Morgan City up to Baton Rouge, LaPlace, Denham Springs, west into West Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Youngsville. You can find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. And, of course, you can apply online or in person. One of the great things about Shawbills is all of the great employee benefits that they offer. With Shawbills, they are a family-owned and operated company. They have been for more than 50 years, and they treat their employees like family. You get weekends off, certainly competitive pay, which everyone's interested in. They got a tool program for entry-level general service technicians. They got great bonus opportunities as well. Very structured environment. It's Shawbills for more than 50 years. Apply online or in person. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, we keep you rolling.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like Hudco, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.